airport complex. Surrounding this great city are a series of feeder towns or overspill towns. One of them is a fairly small place called Spijkenisse, which is twinned with Thetford in East Anglia, and also a place called Hertz near Cologne in Germany, and Boo, believe it or not, in Sweden. I've noticed that a lot of the people here live in flats. Is that because of the land shortage?
No, there's not the problem of land shortage, there's a problem of the amount that the people do have to pay for rent, and the flats are much cheaper than the private houses, and that is the question.
So most of these flats are in fact council flats?
We do own here in Spijkenisse town about 60% of the number of flats.
And what's the average rent?
The average rent is between 12 and 16 pounds a month.
Mr. and Mrs. Edmondson, you work for, at least you do, Mr. Edmondson, work for an English firm. You've been in Spijkenisse for several months now, living here. What do you think, you two, are the main differences between ourselves and the Dutch people?
Well, I would say that the Dutch are a far more home-loving nation than we are. Not as in England, when the man of the house, yes, he goes out to the pub of the evening. They all stay in here and play with the children or watch television.
Sunday afternoons, the whole family will be out for a ride on the bicycles or walking. The whole lot of them.
Have you found any difficulty with the language problems at all?
Well, I did, yes, really. I made an effort at first to learn some Dutch and try and ask for things in the shops in Dutch, but I'd ask for half a kilogram of beans, and the greengrocer would say, "That's a pound of sliced beans, madam. Thank you." You know. So I'm afraid my efforts lately have tapered off, and I now tend to speak in English all the time.
Yes, I suppose it encourages you really to be linguistically lazy, yes, because everybody does speak English.
Yes.
Do you manage Dutch at all? Do you
Well, I make a few faltering attempts to amuse the people at work, but they always speak back in English. So.
If British workers came over here seeking work, as we expect them to now that we're in the market, what sort of jobs could you offer them in Holland?
Well, we do have already a lot of British workers here in Holland. We find them, for example, for the ICI, the chemical industries from Britain. But also we do have a lot of places free for people on the shipyards. And we do believe that we can have a lot of British people on our shipyards employed here.
But what about pay and conditions? Would a British ship worker be better off in Holland than he would in England?
I was 6 months ago in England, and I have the idea, but I'm not sure about, that our salaries are a little bit higher, about 5 or 10% higher than you will find in England.
Do you foresee the time when the English will just come over and work here and live here as naturally as they move from town to town in England? Can you see that happening?
No, not really. I think everybody that I know, after a short while, after the holiday sort of feeling wears off, they all seem to want to go home.
I guess that England is now cheaper than the main European countries.
Do you think, with your experience in politics and council work and so on, that we are going to have to pay more for foodstuffs in England when we go into the market?
Well, the prices will a little bit differ from what was usual before. I guess that your butter prices, for example, will increase, but there are other materials which will be cheaper than before.
And what about this house, for instance? You're renting this. You've got 3 bedrooms. It's a nice, a semi-detached house?
No, terrace.
It is a terrace house, yeah. And this costs you how much? You're renting this?
Well, in the English equivalent, it'll be about £110 a month.
That's very expensive, about £27 or £8 a week.
Yeah.
I believe that there is no difference in attitude between Dutchmen and British people. I believe that we Dutchmen are closer to the British than to every other group on the European continent.
Is it cheaper here or more expensive?
Expensive. Food, clothes, general things like that. I believe furniture is supposed to be cheaper, but we haven't been looking for any.
How much trouble do you get with these juggernauts, which of course we've banned?
Well, in Holland we don't have any trouble with the trucks at all, but they are a little bit heavier than your British one.
I guess. Look at this great big thing now. You see, I mean, that would knock down a few of our more rural buildings without a doubt. Shake them to the foundations.
No, I don't guess that you will have trouble with your foundations.
Don't you get this in Holland? I mean, where buildings positively shake when these great things go by?
No. I guess that the British traffic is too slow for it. You don't know the system of driving.
Well, I think I defend the old country. I think we're very safe drivers compared with the Dutch, anyway.
I'm not so sure that it's safe driving over here.
I mean, look at this enormous thing. This is tremendous. Stuck behind that on the A11, which is a main road in East Anglia, you would never get by. You know, it's just impossible.
When they stay on the right lane, when they take the right-hand lane of the road, it must be possible to pass by, of course, when it is a 4-lane road.
The English, me in particular, I always moan and claim that European tea is absolutely foul. The tea, of course, is exactly the same sort of tea that we drink in England. The difference is that the milk here is exceptionally creamy. In Holland, it's quite normal not to have milk at all, so we just have sugar. And in fact, tea, just on its own, with sugar if you care for it, is extremely nice. I recommend it. That really is it from Spijkenisse tonight. Tomorrow night, we should be reporting from Heidelberg in Germany, which is twinned with Cambridge. That, of course, is an immensely different town to Spijkenisse, with different problems and very different people. From all of us in Spijkenisse, Holland, a very good night.